Moving right along here with YETICON 2.0, November 18th, 2023 in Lakewood, Colorado. Atlantic Rules, Old School Magic the Gathering. On your left is Justin Schrank. On your right is Nick Albertson. Both of these players coming into round 2 with a record of 0-1. We've got red-hot action from the feature table here in Lakewood, Colorado coming right up. Justin Schrank, Nick Albertson. Let's get to Game 1 of round 2. Game 1 of round number 2. Justin on your left, Nicholas on your right. Let's take a look and see what these players have. Looking at their opening starting hands for game number 1. I love the shared playmat. That's a big one. Looks like Nicholas is going to be taking a mulligan. And away we go. Justin says swamp, and Nicholas will reach for his first draw. Nicholas will come into a City of Brass into a land tax. Land tax tapped for City of Brass, we could say, but that will go on. We'll correct that. And we go to 19, does Nicholas. All right, here comes a factory on Justin's side. Dark Ritual. And that is an evil presence on that City of Brass, so that is now a swamp. While that enchantment is on there, it is a swamp, and then following up with a Black Knight. Very cool to see evil presence making an appearance here in Old School Magic the Gathering. This is land tax coming up. We have plains, and swamp. So because Justin played that extra land during Nick's upkeep, he has 1 land fewer than Justin, so he can activate the land tax to put up to 3 basic lands directly into his hand before his regular draw step. So it thins the deck out and makes sure you never miss another land drop. What will he follow up with? If he plays a land, he'll be tied, but right now the land tax has already gotten 3 cards, so generally you'd like to think the card advantage has already been recovered, but he could try to stay on it if he wanted to stay back. It looks like he does not. He plays down one of those fresh plains he just grabbed, and he does play out Demonic Tutor. So Demonic Tutor to search something up. He does have black mana from that City of Brass and no damage because that is just a regular basic swamp. So just keep that in mind. Normally you take a damage from tapping the city, but because it's a basic swamp with that evil presence, he gets black for free. So it actually might not be the worst thing in the world if he's playing white-black. Here comes a Mox Jet. What did he tutor for? All right, he says pass. So with land tax, and we're even on lands here, although Justin's going to play down another land, so we are activating land tax again. He will swing in with the factory and the Black Knight, and down to 15 goes Nick. Nick's going to untap, and he is going to activate land tax again to search out 3 more lands. Generally with land tax, if you can't power something out, you do start discarding if you're aggressively pulling out every land that you can. But that also does help thin your deck. So we get plains, swamp again, I believe, or maybe plains, swamp. 3 basic lands anyhow on Nick's side. He takes them into his hand. He's got to have a grip and a half of cards. Let's see what Nick wants to go for here. Justin's still at 20 life. Nick so far hasn't put any threats on the board until this moment. There is the Hypnotic Spectre right there, black, and 1. We still have 1 black mana available, and he's going to pass the turn. So Black Knight with first strike can definitely fight better than the Hippie, and I would say he can probably safely attack through it because that Hippie is going to be taking 2 damage and a card through the air next turn, unless Justin can do something about it. With mono black, it's kind of tricky. Here is a Dark Ritual on his side, and it is a cast orb and activate orb. Orb flip does go on the Hippie, and then we attack for 4 on the ground. So that 3 mana were used for the Chaos Orb. Good flip, Justin. That's the first orb flip we've had here at YETICON 2.0. So because we have 3 lands on the side, 4 lands on the side of Justin's side, 3 lands back there on Nick's side, he's going to activate land tax yet again, and he's going to keep getting the full grip of basics. As long as he can keep playing cards out, then he'll be able to keep the hand size down without discarding. The Mox Jet certainly helped get his mana going and also helped keep him there. So now he's got 4 lands. Now we're even on lands. Land tax is currently off unless Justin plays something else out. And here comes a Serra Angel. So the old classic black, white, black for Serra Angel. Very cool. And we are going to go to discard to hand size. Discard is, I can't quite tell what that is down in the corner there. where he's discarding a little bit of glare. That might be a City of Brass. I think that is City of Brass. Anyway, here on Justin's side, it is an Icy Manipulator, and Icy Manipulator is going to tap the Sarah Angel in the upkeep, it looks like, is what they're saying. Yes. Okay. So we tapped Sarah Angel in the upkeep of Nicholas. So he didn't tap the Sarah Angel to do an attack. He played the Icy, waited until after Nick's untap step to play the tap effector in the upkeep. So now Sarah Angel can't come flying over for 4. And it looks like he is going to go do some land tax searching because he's got 4 lands, does Nick. And Justin had to play out an extra land there to get the Icy Manipulator and still activate it. So I'm sure Justin would rather turn that off sooner than later if he can. But good play to keep Sarah at bay for a turn here. Icy Manipulator is a great answer in black for a big creature like that. So smart to include that in the deck. All right, here comes Armageddon. That's going to be trouble. Armageddon is going to turn off the Icy unless Justin can get a mana source. Nick still has the Mox Jet, so he's actually got a mana advantage, and he left that one up. Here comes a Swamp as a play for turn. And his hand will be full of lands, so if Justin's hand doesn't have any lands in it, he's not going to be able to play the Icy. He is going to be able to swing in with his Black Knight. Might as well. Sarah is tapped, and certainly not going to be getting in again while Sarah is untapped, so might as well come in while you can. Nick goes to 9, and he's going to disenchant the Icy, and here comes 4 damage. So Nick's going to start to go to town here. Justin goes to 16. Nick's at 9. He's coming in with the Black Knight, and he's just going to take it. Not sure if we'd have something like a Drain Life effect that could help with that. So he's going to go down to 7. Nick's at 7, Justin's at 16, and here comes a Hymn to Torok, and he discards, maybe, I can't tell what the discard was. So Hymn to Torok does not get what Justin probably would hoped it had something better, but that just will keep him from piling up. The Black Knight's coming in again, and we're not blocking. We're not going to put ourselves at risk for anything, I think, says Nick. Sarah Angel untapped, of course, from Vigilance, so certainly could block, but doesn't really need to at this point. And here comes, there is another Hymn to Torok with a cool stasis art altar, so that's pretty neat. Down to 8 life goes Justin, so 2 more attacks from the Angel. He's attacking again with the Black Knight, and Nick says, yep, come on in. I'll go ahead and go to 3. And we're going to Nick's turn. Nick will draw. He's at 3 life, and Justin's 2 Sarah attacks away. Land tax is not really an issue anymore because right now it's Nicholas who has a huge mana advantage over Justin. Justin takes a draw, takes a look, and says, let's scoop him up for game number 1. So things looked good, but that Sarah Angel was able to take over a timely disenchant of the Icy. And, of course, Armageddon, the big turning point in that game 1. Both players going to go to their sideboards, and we'll see what we come up with here for game number 2. And here we go with game number 2. Justin on the left, Nick on your right. Nick with the early game lead here in this match, thanks to the Armageddon and Sarah Angel. It looks like players have mulliganed. Justin has taken out 1 card. Justin's going to take out 2. So both players mulligan down to 5 to start this game. So it's always going to be interesting to see who has the better hand after a mulligan with a little bit lower hand numbered. Justin's deck may have a little bit more opportunity to come out swinging early with smaller threats like the Hippies and the Black Knights. Sarah Angel being the big top-end finisher there for Nick. So City of Brass into land tax. That's pretty familiar. Nick goes down to 19. Here comes another Swamp, tapping for 4 mana, and there is Bog Wraith. Bog Wraith with Swamp Walk. We did see Evil Presence last game. Bog Wraith, a 3/3 Swamp Walker. Evil Presence came out on the City of Brass early from Justin's side last game. Let's see if he goes for it again, if he's able to start swinging in for 3, sneaking through the swamps. Now, he can use Evil Presence on the City of Brass, or he may force Nick to play down a swamp to keep himself on schedule, and it looks like that's what he's going to go for. So he is going to drop a swamp as normal, and a Soul Ring. Here comes a Chaos Orb, and he's going to tap his City of Brass to activate the orb. And here comes an Orb Flip on the Bog Wraith. There it goes. That is a hit. Good flip. So we are 2 for 2 on Orb Flips here on this channel for this year. So the threat of the Swamp Walker for now held back. Let's see what Justin comes up with after that, losing his big threat. There is an Evil Presence on the city, so no more white mana for Nick. Nick's just got black, and of course the 2 colorless from the Soul Ring. Very nice play there from Justin to see if he can slow down the plans of Nick for long enough to get himself on board. Right now, neither player has much of a threat on the board. Let's see if Nick can change that, and he sure does. An Ivory Tower and, of course, the Hypnotic Spectre. I don't know about cards in hand right now with Nick, but the Hypnotic Spectre may be the bigger issue for Justin as he takes a draw and looks at the situation. Taps for 2 black. Black Knight is definitely a good card. It's going to have a difficult time with the Hippie on the board, although Nick is 2 life down from where Justin is because of City of Brass activations. Land Tax is activated for 3 swamps over on Justin's side. Nick just has the swamp and the Enchanted City of Brass. So we'll grab some basics, and let's see what he decides to do. My guess would be he's going to play that, deploy that Hippie, and maybe drop down another threat if he can. Ivory Tower, he taps but didn't gain any life, at least as of yet. It looks like Justin is describing how you can stack the triggers for that, and they may even be checking that. So yes, this is a land tax tower thing. You can put the Ivory Tower on the stack, put the land tax above it on the stack, grab your lands, then when the Ivory Tower sees your hand, you will have that number of cards in your hand. It looks like they have backed up to correct that, so the Ivory Tower does indeed gain that life. So that's what you do when you play that. You stack the triggers. You say land tax or Ivory Tower trigger, land tax trigger on top, grab your lands, and then the Ivory Towers resolves when you've got a full grip. So I hope that was clear on the instructions. So Hippie comes in for 2 damage. Justin's going to take a couple down to 18. He's going to lose a card. And right now he looks like he's just top decking. There's a Black Knight coming down. You might as well get to top decking when you've got a Hippie on the board. So we untap. They're looking at lands. He did play a land to equalize. And so we have an Ivory Tower tap. He's drawn the card already. I'm just looking to see if they are going to go back. It looks like they do go back and put that on there. So Nick does go back and put the life on there after the card draw. So that's at the beginning of upkeep that the Ivory Tower sees you. And here comes the Hippie for 2 more. David Merriam is the judge here at this event, so they may just be double checking that with David about the trigger stacking. They may have called David. We might see David later on in this tournament. Justin counterattacking for 4 here on the ground. Again, might as well. The Hippie's tapped, and you can put some pressure back on him against that Ivory Tower. So Nick is checking some life, lost some life, and gaining life from the Ivory Tower in the upkeep. Here he comes. He taps for 2 black. And there is another one for another Hypnotic Spectre. He's coming in for 2 more in the air. There is a card in Justin's hand right now, so it might have been something he couldn't play or decided not to play last time. So he's going to go down to 14 and discard. Looks like a Dark Ritual. Yep, Dark Ritual just gives you mana burn at this point. So there is a Hippie right there. Taps 3 swamps for a Hippie. The Hippie can at least be a blocker, so that can slow down some of the action coming in. He's going to attack him with 2 Black Knights. Black Knight, of course, first strike, so not worth probably blocking with the Spectre on Nick's side, especially because he has the life advantage. He is going to announce block for 1 and just let it be gobbled up. So he's going to let it be gobbled up, yeah, reminding of first strike right there. So Justin says, yeah, my Black Knight will survive in combat right there. So the Black Knight does stay on the board. The Hypnotic Spectre does go from the 2 damage. And the other Black Knight does get through. So that was Justin's attack, 2 damage coming through in the Black Knight. All right, now Nick goes to untap. Nick goes to the draw step here. Double checks the tower, so gain from the tower there. And he will tap 3 for another Hypnotic Spectre, so there's 2 more. Now, he could send 1 Hypnotic Spectre over now to offer a trade. Offer a trade with Justin to see if he would block it with his other hippie. They would trade down, but then he would have 1 left over. He decides to keep it back, and right now Justin's got a Hypnotic Spectre there to defend, and he's going to come in with everything. So he is going to he'll offer his own trade of Hypnotic Spectres, so he can block 1. That will get 1 off the board. Two Hypnotic Spectres off the board net. The other 2 Black Knights will get in. 1 Hypnotic Spectre stays back for Nick. He's going to gain some life in his upkeep. He's up to 22. Down to 14 is Justin. Nick's getting ready to disenchant the Soul Ring. So something he can do right there. And another Hypnotic Spectre coming through the air. No cards in Justin's hand, so he's going to go from 14 down to 12. And we may just be down to a race here at this point. There's a factory on the board. So the factory could increase the race speed. Justin would like to get some of the cards out of his hand or find a way to deal with the Ivory Tower. I don't know if we've seen a Chaos Orb from Justin's side this game, so that could be an out for him to stop the life gain, because he could be swinging in for 6 every turn, especially if the Hypnotic Spectre continues to fly over on Nick's attack. Nick taking a look at his options here, and he is going to turn that hippie sideways. He's going to put Justin down to 10, no cards in hand, just going to top decks on his side, and he'll say go. Justin will untap. He's looking at a player with 21 life and an Ivory Tower. There's another Evil Presence on the, looks like maybe on the Scrubland, or I'm not sure what that can, maybe on the, is there a Plains there underneath that? So another Evil Presence, so he has another Swamp. If we do get the Bog Wraith, that can increase the clock as well. And Nick is going to go for land tax. So he'll do the land tax trigger. They've shuffled, and I believe now he will do he'll resolve the Ivory Tower trigger after the land tax. So he'll go back up to 21. Nick continuing to press his advantage here, card advantage, and of course damage advantage here in the air. Life advantage, I should say, because he is able to outgain or slowly start to outgain those Black Knights. Discards, goes to discard, discards a Dark Ritual and a Plains, it looks like, so he will let those go. Justin will untap. He's at 8 life right now, still staring down that hippie. And he casts Sinkhole. Looks like, yep, Sinkhole on the Scrubland, so trying to take him off of his sources. He's off his white source currently. He has a Swamp and a City of Brass right there. But land tax will continue to be on, likely for the rest of the game. So the life gain will continue for Nick on his side. He's fished out a couple of lands, it looks like. And again, now he will go ahead and resolve that Ivory Tower trigger. And puts himself up to 22. And go to his regular draw. You know, likely he's going to be ending with a full grip of cards every turn, and with land tax, he won't be off of his white sources for long. He does play a Plains down, and he discards a couple of cards. Looks like maybe a Swamp on top as a discard. There is a Hymn to Torok, so that will slow down some of the life gain. He gets a couple of cards here. It looks like it's a Swamp and a Plains. You're often unlikely to hit too much. And now here comes a big swing for 6. So this will outrace the Ivory Tower. I'm not sure how long he can last without something like a Drain Life to either get the hippie off the board or to give him some more life to fight it. But swinging in for 6 is pretty nice. It puts Nick down to 16. Nick's going to stack the triggers again because Justin has 5 lands. And right now, Nick only has 4 lands, so he may just be filling up He may not want to play a land down if he wants to keep finding them. I'm not sure how many basics Nick is rocking off the top of my head, but he will gain some life. He goes to 18. He'll draw a card. He'll play the Pearl. That, of course, is land tax neutral, so that's a good play to get some extra mana without losing any land tax triggers. There's a Jet ripped off the top for Justin. He's coming across for 6 again. He puts Nick down to 12, but he's at 4. Justin is at 4, so he's 2 hippie attacks away. Looks like he'll say go, because right now we're in the upkeep of Nick. Nick is digging through, and Nick, I believe, fails to find, and that is something that happens with land tax players, so he'll just go to his regular draw. So it looked like he either declined to take a land or possibly has already extracted all basics from his deck, and lots of land tax players will tell you they can do that before, but fail to find is always legal. So the hippie comes in one more time. 2 life is Justin. He takes a look at the top card, scoops him up, and says, that's the match. I'll take back my evil presences. Thank you very much. So Nick takes it in 2 games here in round 2 with the help of Armageddon and Sarah Angel in game 1. And then, of course, the Hypnotic Specters and the just grinding force of the Ivory Tower. I wonder if he'll have those Ivory Towers signed by Margaret Organ Keane, the artist of that card, later on here in the tournament. We may check back in and see. So that has been round 2 action. Congratulations to players as we go on here. Nick at 1-1, Justin at 0-2. As we go on, we'll take you to round number 3 in the next video.